Well, hello, everybody. Happy 2019 from Black Coffee Political Alliance. I am Dr. Shantae, the CEO of Black Coffee Political Alliance. And this is the first wake up hour broadcasted from the new year. And it is on a new day, Wednesday afternoon. We were on Tuesdays last year. Now we're going to be on Wednesdays from 1 to 2. And I understand that this broadcasting is at 2 for those that are going to correct me later. What we're going to do in this wake up hour is reintroduce our visionary and founder and chairman of Black Coffee Political Alliance, which is Dr. Levern Murphy. There are some things that we just want to reiterate. We've had a few wake up hours where we talked about certain topics in the media, politics, etc. And we just want to start the new year by going over some of the principles of Black Coffee Political Alliance. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the camera around and introduce our founder and visionary for Black Coffee Political Alliance and my personal political mentor, Dr. Levern Murphy. So give me a moment to just turn the camera around. And we have Dr. Levern Murphy with us. Say hello to everyone.
Hello, how are you? Good to have you with us today. We're going to get this new year off to a great start and happy to have you join us in this start that we're about to make. Thank you again.
So there's a lot of things that are going on, and we'll just start with just a few things about the government shutdown. Now, I am not very. I don't have a lot of years behind me, and I understand that this has happened maybe 3 or 4 times to count as far as the government shutting down, not necessarily by sitting presidents. This may be the first one where this was directly a president who initiated and threatened to do so over something, whereas other shutdowns that may have happened, it involved the Congress where the Democrats and Republicans couldn't agree on something, but it was never really the fault or of the sitting presidents of those times when they happened, especially with Obama. I remember something about just agreeing about the Affordable Health Care Act, and then with H.W. Bush, it happened way before my time. I just read it about it,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
but it wasn't necessarily him per se that did so. I want to say there's another one before him where it happened. I just can't remember which president that it
Well, we've
happened.
had we've had many government shutdowns, and I think that between the executive branch and the Congress, they probably about neck and neck. They essentially occur when the two sides cannot come to terms, and one side uses the shutdown to allow to provide leverage or pressure on the other to capitulate to their demands. As you see in this particular shutdown, Trump used his demand for the wall as a condition that the Democrats had to meet. And if they failed to meet it, then he was going to shut down the government. And that's where we are today. Trump is still persisting in holding the workers, federal workers, hostage until he gets his wall, which was a principal campaign pledge to his base. Oh, the one thing that's missing, he also promised all of us that Mexico would pay for it. And Mexico is not paying for it. And so, since Mexico ain't paying for it, then he's demanding that the taxpayers fund this wall. And there is some confusion in the rhetoric because the Democrats are all for border security. They just don't see the wall as contributing anything to border security. The data tells us that over the last 11 years, illegal immigration across the southern border is down at a historic low. That you have more Mexicans in America going back to Mexico than you have illegal Mexicans crossing the southern border.
Wow.
Yeah. But to people who really don't think or study the facts of the matter, can be easily swayed to accept false rhetoric as the facts, as
Mm.
Trump is so famous for fake news. Well, he is the biggest author of fake news. Almost nothing he says is fact.
Mm.
He's a man where the major newspapers have documented since he's been president 2 years, he has been documented as having told over 7,000 lies and misstatements. Now, if
Oh
you
my
think about
God.
that for a minute, in 2 years, 7,000 lies, that's 10 lies a day. Almost nothing this guy says can you count on it. And so the tragedy of the government shutdown is that one, it's holding innocent federal workers as pawns in this fight. And they're really suffering. When you keep up with the news, this is really hurting them. I think today or tomorrow will be their second paycheck they have not gotten.
Mm.
We have an all time historic high in TSA personnel not showing up for work. And now they're even calling for volunteers to come and fill the gap at TSA, which is the system that protects our airports and make your travel safe. And so this is one of the impacts of that. Food inspections being curtailed because these are federal workers and they're not coming to work. The Coast Guard is not receiving pay, so our coastal ports now are vulnerable when those personnel can't get paid and don't have the resources to maintain their lives. And when you find that federal workers are going out looking for other work, and and so what are they going to do? Work two jobs or go to the job that's paying them, you know? And so it is really silly in many respects. And my point is, it is purely political. And I'll just say this to my Democratic friends. The fact that innocent people are being hurt, the fact that innocent people are being hurt, I would be in favor of giving this idiot his money to build the wall if it gives them people their paychecks so they can take care of their family. And that you can ward off the impact this is going to have on the American economy with the fact that that much government cash is not flowing and all the businesses. You know, there's over 10,000 government contractors who are out of work now because they can't get paid. And so government services on all fronts are being curtailed.
Now, you would think that this very selfish and childish
Very childish.
shutdown because I can't get my way, he's so far removed from the ordinary citizen. He has no idea, or maybe he does and
You
just
don't.
don't care,
You don't.
of the impact that it's having on ordinary people, especially government programs and other things that rely on government dollars as it pertains to schooling, food, etc. I've heard a lot of people where they have their SNAP benefits. You know, they have the link card, and this is now affect their ability to eat. Those who rely on it for food. I mean, he is really doing something there. And maybe the Democrats are just letting him do this so that they can just run whoever they want in 2020 and get a sweep. you know, I think at some on some level, they're letting people suffer too for whatever political gains that they want to have as far as getting him out.
And that's what concerns me about the Democratic position. I understand it as a matter of principle. But if the way out of this, if the way out of this is to put something on the table, even if it's the Pelosi has announced not $1 for a wall, but they don't have a problem giving the whole 5.6 billion for increased border security. So what does increased border security looks like from a Democratic perspective? We need more immigration judges that can process these migrant claims for asylum. We need more border patrol agents that can have a greater presence along the southern border. And we need to employ modern technology like drones and sensors of various sorts so that we can detect movement once it approaches within 1,000 yards of our border and our barriers that we have. And, along the southern border, San Diego all the way down to the Gulf, we have thousands of miles of barriers now. And there are some sections of the border where the natural terrain is a barrier. Because when you come over the Rio Grande, you're not going to try to migrate across the Rio Grande. You know, then you have certain sections where there's nothing but desert, and you're not going to walk across that desert. So there's some natural barriers already there. I
Mm.
think the wall, from Trump's standpoint, is largely symbolic. He wants to be able to show that he delivered on a major campaign promise, except none of that promise is going to be fulfilled because his promise was he's going to build this gigantic, magnificent wall and he's going to make Mexico pay for it. Mexico done made it clear we're not spending a dime on it, but ain't nothing he can do to Mexico. So now he's going to transfer that cost on to the American taxpayer.
Wow.
That's shameful, you know. And what we have is a petulant little boy, totally inexperienced, born a millionaire. I think he had $3 million when he was 3 years old. So he was born with a gold foot up his butt, and he has no connection or ability to relate to somebody who's waiting on the government to send a SNAP benefit so they can eat.
Wow. Wow. And that's, well, I'm very thankful, for the insight to this government shutdown, which is now, what, a month long? A little over
Over
a
a month.
month? A
We're
little
on
over a
the
month now?
34th day today.
Oh my gosh.
We're
Wow.
in month two.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Longest shutdown in history.
In history. So he's making history for being
Also
childish.
the most damaging in history.
Wow.
And so I think the Democrats have a good point. I'm not sure how long that point's going to matter to the people who are suffering.
Yeah.
Their position is if we cave in to his demands now, then he'll simply use this ploy whenever there's a policy difference between the executive branch and the Democrats.
Wow, that's a very difficult position to be in. I can see that too,
Yeah.
not wanting to give him this so that you're not pacifying,
Yeah, the
him.
message they want to send to Trump, you cannot win with this tactic.
Right. And I think that's necessary. But at the same time, the people, the lives that are being affected,
Yeah.
that's at the same time. That's, oh, wow. Wow.
Now, so far, the polls show that the American people, 55% blame Trump for the effects of this shutdown. We need
Oh,
to watch that because the more and more people suffer, I'm sure they'll get to the point. Well, it ain't gonna matter which way we point our fingers. We want this shit over with.
yes.
And whoever has the ability to put something on the table to make it over, that will be our hero. And that, I think, could play well in the Democrats' favor.
For when they're for running their next candidate.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And
Wow.
Pelosi got on the world stage, American stage, and gave a major press conference and said that in the interest of the people's welfare, we have made it perfectly clear that this wall is meaningless and it means nothing. We will not sit by and allow you, innocent people, to suffer because this president doesn't have enough sensitivity to your welfare to come off of his high horse. So we have decided to put forth a bill that gives him whatever we can negotiate in our next meeting so we can get this government open in the next day or two.
Mm-hmm.
I think the American people would applaud
Yes.
that type of political courage to do that.
Yes. Yes. At this time in our segment for Black Coffee, one of the things that we like to do, and I don't know if I want to risk this just so that everyone know who's talking. Just for a second, I'll flip around on here. Will they let me do it during the live? It's a slow delay there. Wow. Okay. I'm going to try it. We're streaming at multiple places. Okay. So at this segment in the Black Coffee Wake Up Hour, part of the goals that we have is re-educating the public and getting the electorate knowledgeable about political terms. So every segment we have a political term of the day. And we've done that in every segment. So I wanted to take the time to allow Dr. Murphy to bless us with the term that we'll be using this week onward and any posts or things for the political term for the day. So I'm going to flip it back around for Dr. Murphy. Oh, I didn't do it here. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Back
Okay.
around. Okay. The political term of the day, and I think it's the perfect one to start off the year, is the term or phrase political district. And let's start at the very top. The United States of America, from coast to coast, is a political district. One political district. And all of the people who live or reside within that political district is considered a body politic. Now, body politic would be a phrase we'll get to in other segments, but I want to concentrate on political districts today. In the national government, the nation is divided into 50 states or 50 political districts, 50 distinct political districts. The state of California is a political district, distinct from the state of New York, which is also a political district. And you can go from coast to coast, top to bottom, and what you end up with is 50 states. And within those 50 states, those states represent an individual body politic. When you get to the state then subdivides its state into counties. In Illinois, we have 103 counties in Illinois, 102 or 103. And they too are considered political districts. Just as we live in Cook County is a unique political district because within that political district, they have the power and authority to operate their government and elect their officials using only the votes of those who reside in that political district.
Okay.
And then counties then subdivide even further into municipalities. Cook County is made up of many municipalities, Chicago being one of them. Dalton is another, Calumet City is another,
South
Melrose
Holland.
Park, so forth, South Holland, Country
Richmond
Club
Park.
Hills.
Yes.
All of those municipal
Schaumburg.
structures, exactly, within the county are municipal districts. They are also political districts. Anywhere the citizens within well-defined boundaries have the authority to elect their own public officials, they are operating within a political district. People in Will County cannot vote in Cook County and vice versa because Cook County is a political district. And so within Cook County, as I mentioned, a number of municipalities, the largest municipality within Cook County, the largest municipality in the state of Illinois, is the city of Chicago. The city of Chicago is a distinct unit of government where the citizens of Chicago have the power to elect their public officials. Within a municipal district, the municipalities subdivide even further into wards. Wards are political districts because the only people that can vote for the representative in a ward is the citizens who live in that ward. So wards are political districts. And so in Chicago, we have 50 distinct political districts where the people have the ability to elect their representatives, and those 50 representatives then make up the legislative body of the Chicago City Council, which has 50 aldermen seated there, one for each of the 50 political districts called wards. The wards even break down even further. Although we don't elect a public official from these districts, but they're called precincts. Every ward has so many precincts with well-defined boundaries and population within that. And you'll see in the old days, we don't have it anymore under the machine politics. We had what was known as precinct captains. And precinct captains was appointed by the aldermen. And those precinct captains were given the responsibility for getting to know the residents in their precinct and to deliver services from the aldermen based on what their particular needs would be. And the precincts are important because within the district of the ward, if you can control the precincts in those wards, you will control who sits in the city council when election time comes. But you need a strong ward organization in order to effect that because wards are pretty sizable pieces of geography, and so are precincts. But in the old days, the precinct captains worked the precincts, and they went block by block. You even had block captains who would then be in charge of, say, 3 to 4 blocks, and they would work under the direction of the precinct captain, who in turn worked under the direction of the aldermen and the ward committeemen. So that's the thing that we want to be intimately familiar with as we develop Black Coffee Political Alliance. Because many of our people, as we see now, we look at our membership now, they don't all live in the same political district, except that they all live in the same municipal district. That won't always be true either, because when our recruitment expands into other municipal districts like the south suburbs, west suburbs, and even further, then we start to move into different political districts. But right now we're concentrating on Chicago, Cook County. And in Chicago, Cook County, that's our primary training ground where we want to work to recruit a membership base of 100,000 members. Because now we have concentration. Not only do we have concentration within a county political district, but we also have concentration in the municipal district of Chicago, which is the most populous municipality in the city. So if we can develop presence there, then we have political capital that we can leverage.
All right.
So don't forget, political district.
Political district. All right. That is the word for the wake up hour today. Or phrase. The phrase.
Yeah, you can say word.
Okay.
Word.
That's what we're defining. So we just want all of our viewers to be reminded of these terms as you become more interested in politics yourself and you want to know what's going on, as I feel many groups do. I've noticed that a lot of groups are becoming more politically involved as it pertains to the African American community. Some of them, when we used to go asking them how did they feel, they were very apathetic. They didn't care so much. They didn't have anything to offer. But the fact that they're starting to say anything as it relates to politics, I feel is a win. And since they are showing, especially the word you used in defining our word definition for today, you said municipality. And the municipality we can talk about is the city of Chicago.
Exactly.
So even in the mayoral's race that is coming, and this is a perfect transition to the next topic, which will be our ending topic for today, is of course the Chicago mayoral's race. For some of you viewers watching for the first time, again, we are Black Coffee Political Alliance. We are headquartered and located in Chicago, Illinois. The headquarters is at the Bott Business Center, which is in the historic Chatham neighborhood of the south side of Chicago. So that's just a little bit of background for those that might be just joining the broadcast. We're Black Coffee Political Alliance. You can find us on all social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as Black Coffee Bop. Black Coffee BOP. So we're going to move into the last part of our segment for today, and it will be a short broadcast. And that is the city of Chicago, the municipal election, this political district. Where we have the race that is currently going now. We go to vote February 26th. For those of you that need to update your registrations, you may come to our headquarters. We do have forms for you to update your registration on your own. We are not able to register you at this time until after the election, as the rules for any of the civic organizations, because Black Coffee is also a civic organization, and you can come to us and we can assist you in registering to vote for the first time and also updating your registration. You may come here as well. We have forms that you can fill out that you can send in yourself. So, because there's a cutoff period for us to do that on your behalf, because we have an election upcoming very close. So we can't do it, but we can give you the form where you can do it yourself. So I did want to just let the viewers who are residents of Chicago that wish to be registered voters in Chicago. And if you're already a registered voter, please, please, please go online. Make sure that your information is accurate so that you know where you're going to be going for which polling place you'll go to vote in the upcoming mayoral election. But we'll talk more about that in the upcoming wake up hours. So let's talk about and get the insight from the great Dr. Murphy about Chicago's mayoral race.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad you asked. We have an interesting mayoral contest, and we're actually now in the throes of what is technically known as the mayoral primary. I'd like to point out something that's very significant. Years ago, we had partisan primaries and partisan elections. And after Harold Washington's first election in the close call, where he was almost defeated in a 98% Democratic district, uh, Harold had sneaked through and defeated Jane Byrne and Richard Daley by a point, just a little over a point. And he was sort of like the surprise candidate because neither Byrne nor Daley thought he had a snowball's chance in hell of beating him. But he did. And after defeating them, a Republican uh, candidate for the Republican side, Bernard Epton, ran against Harold Washington in the general election. And while Harold was representing the Democrats in a 98% Democratic district, Epton, with a 2% Republican base in Chicago, garnered 48.6% of the vote. That was a real shocker because this Republican almost defeated the Democratic nominee in his own district. And so, what that outcome told us is that when it comes down to the issue of race, white folks place race as more important than party. Because you can't get 48% of the vote in a Democratic district unless a whole lot of people who were Democrats decided they was not going to vote for a black man, in this case Harold Washington, and they was going to vote for a white man and worry about defeating him later because they wasn't going to let that happen. After that occurred, Chicago moved away from partisan elections. So we don't have a Democratic or Republican primary. If you're running for the mayor, you throw your hat into the ring and you simply run as a candidate for mayor. You don't have to list nor are you asked what party do you represent because you're representing a candidacy and not necessarily